And in this article, I was really excited to read because they said the best way to change your job is to focus on your personality. And this is something I have never, ever heard about. No one ever told me that actually personality matters. Yes, I was told and I was aware of, and everyone is aware that actually, if you do have, an angry or aggressive personality, yes, you are someone who may not necessarily be like to be worked with. But no one said actually that there are certain personality traits across different careers. And if people wanted to change from one career to the other, if they do have those sort of like personality traits, that transition will be very, very easy to them. And it could be completely moving from one career to a career that you may not have thought about. But the hiring manager in both industries or both companies or whatever, they do look for those traits and personalities as well as the experiences and skills, but the personality traits matter. So in that study, basically, I think they looked at probably over 1,000 people. They looked at the different industries, different careers, and they started to map out actually the personality traits and the careers that they are attached to those people there. So as you could see, the different colors for those clusters, they draw basically people with similar personalities. And the farther away from one cluster to the other, it's less likely that a person from one group basically could be a good fit in the other. And you could really read the whole article, you could see it over there, but really interesting observations that if you're an architect, you could do become a management scientist, or you could be a business analyst, and you may find things that you may have never thought of, or you may find even certain actually careers that you didn't think actually they do exist. And then you start actually to consider them and say, you know what, I don't have necessarily all the skills and experiences to move into that career, but because I do have the personality traits, and change in life is always good, I actually may utilize the information in this article and the research findings and try to do so. So yes, the bottom line is this, that skills and experiences are not really the only things that matter. Now, moving into something really, slightly related, generally speaking, if you are someone are trying to make assumptions about the people listening, or if you would really listen to that later on in your career, is something very important to consider, which is writing down your goals. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you may have heard that, or maybe people or motivational speakers have mentioned that to you. Some people may have believed in that and start to do that. Well done, you. But others may think, actually, this is something I'm not interested in, because I do know in my mind what I am looking for. I am someone looking to become the best sustainability consultant or the best health and well-being expert. So all those things are clearly written in my mind. But actually, it's not really that simple. What is the main purpose of really writing your goals? The idea is you are just having kind of sort of a cognitive relief. Because imagine your brain, imagine like a computer and the RAMs in your computer. If you keep overloading your computer, opening 6, 7 software at the same time, even if you have a super powerful computer, at some point your computer wouldn't respond. And I take that analogy and I apply it to your brain. You go to work, you have so many things to process and all of that. But once you restart your computer, you would clear certain things from the RAMs, and then your computer will start to kind of like work as expected. And same with your mind and brain. When you write down something, or your goals, your frustrations, whatever, when you take them down or write them on paper, they are there. You don't keep them up there. And you really have sort of like daily or weekly or monthly access to them. And you get reminded that actually, oh, I said I wanted to be promoted in 12 months from today, because you have written that goal and you have broken that goal into sub goals and all of that. You are reminded constantly about the actions that you need to take. And you may ask, are there certain techniques? I mean, there are loads of information you could find on the internet, but I do really recommend the Brian Tracy's 7 steps to success formula about writing your goals. And you may think it's easy, but actually once you start to read those 7 steps and have a blank sheet of paper, you may realize actually deciding what you want is not that easy, because you may have loads of things that you never had the opportunity to narrow them down and write them on paper and set deadlines. And certain deadlines could be, I wanted to be changing my career after 2 years. I wanted to work for 2 years for this great organization, and then I wanted to have a gap year. If this hasn't been written and written properly, and you've taken actions and set deadlines and reminded yourself about it, in most cases, that goal actually would never materialize. And in some cases, bizarrely enough, this did happen to me. Sometimes you may even forget about that goal if you haven't written that down. And even if it does happen or it doesn't, you wouldn't have this excitement that actually, yes, I said I wanted to lose 10 kilos in 6 months. But if that wasn't a goal that you worked on and achieved, and you created small steps to get to that goal, if you do achieve that accidentally, you may not have the excitement to say, that was a goal actually, and now I need to set a further goal. And sometimes if people are really trying to write down their career goals, or try to really understand in times of crisis like this, what could they do if they never really had the opportunity they were looking for? So I will give you an example to say, right now, I am someone who is about to start working on my dissertation. I will be finishing later in the summer, but I do know that the economy now is not really in the best shape. And I may have worries that I did start to apply for opportunities, and now I might getting rejections, or companies saying there is a recruitment freeze and all of that. So you may really have a different strategy. You may say, you know what, I am still a student, I am still young, I am still someone who has the energy, the ambition, the passion. I need to slightly deviate from applying for jobs every single day. I want to really bring a blank sheet of paper, write down all the passions that I do have. What are the things actually that I really enjoy doing? Do I like horse riding? Do I like to learn that? Do I like cycling? Do I wish to learn how to cycle? Am I good at music? Or actually, I do know how to play on piano, but actually I want to learn other things. I love traveling. I love fitness and all of that. And start really to make the best out of your time between now and the end of your time, let's say at university. You do have, if you are still at UCL, you do have access to different societies, and they do organize various fitness events for very, very, very reduced price. You do have access to free gym and all of that, and start to focus on building and making those passions things that are, that are part of your daily routine. I mean, sports is not always something good for your mental being and physical being. It's something that you would feel happy, kind of like even later coaching other people. And maybe at some point, you never know. I mean, there are many friends that I do know who has focused on certain passions throughout their study and even throughout their professional career, and they became experts. They did turn some of these passions into actually work opportunities. So people that I do know very well, after 10 years of working, they said, actually, we have been going to the gym and swimming and doing certain things for the past 10, 11 years. I managed to stay fit, be in shape. Actually, now I decided to take a gap year, but because a gap year will be quite expensive, given that I did build that passion over the years, I might be actually now teaching sports, or I might be doing some fitness coaching. And I may start to manage a social media account about fitness. So all those things, all those passions that you may have taken for granted, or you may have put away actually whilst you joined UCL, or whilst you said, actually, there is no time to be wasted on things that are important but not urgent. Because many people look at exercise and hobbies and things are important things, but not really urgent. So consider that, and I think this will pay off later in your life. I mean, again, you may have heard that in the past, having a mentor, and people say, oh, you know what, I don't need a mentor because I do have a line manager at work. I say, yes, that's a great starting point, but a mentor would be slightly different to sort of like a line manager. A line manager will be mentoring you throughout your career, but they will be purely focusing on the things that you are meant to be doing. They're meant to listen to you every now and then if you have issues or frustrations, but they are really not prepared to be, people to be bombarded every single day with every single issue that you have, because you may really create friction in that relationship. So instead, what I would advise, and something I did myself as well, once you join any organization, or even if you are a student, go to networking events, start to meet people who have got more experience than you. If you really admire working with them, or even having them as your mentor, do not hesitate to ask questions. And you would find many people who would be more than happy to do that for free. So don't always think actually that experience, that person with their level of experience, they would never ever have time for me. But you never know unless you really ask them and check if they do have half an hour every single month where you could either have a Skype call, or even better, face-to-face, maybe not now, and try to learn from their expertise and try to, utilize their time in an intelligent way. So bring an agenda, or even before meeting with them, say, I would like to talk next time about 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that something you would be willing to give me advice on, or you think I should adjust the agenda? And other people may say, oh, yes, I love the idea of having a mentor. I will do some Googling. I will find a mentor. I will pay them, and I will just have a career coach, and voila, everything will be amazing. Just be careful about that, because if you haven't met that person in person, you may not necessarily enjoy working with them. And once that relationship start to become transactional, you may also have issues to say, actually, because I have paid upfront, so I need to make the best out of the time, but actually I'm not benefiting out of it, so therefore I'm not really enjoying it. So if you really need to find the right mentor, make sure that you have listened to that mentor, you have met them in person, you have exchanged few emails, and even if that mentor said, actually, I'm not doing it for free, you've got to pay me, before you make that decision, make sure that you are comfortable that this person can be your mentor. And if you don't really feel comfortable later, you may really end that sort of, relationship quite quickly. And something maybe now, completely kind of deviating into something very, very different. If you think at some point that actually things are slowing down out there, opportunities are not limited, there are plenty of opportunities, but everything is on freeze now. And hopefully in few weeks or few months, things should go back to normal. But you may really consider actually the opportunity of starting your own business. And I hear you saying, oh, I do not have the right level of experience. I do not have the skills to start my business. I need to have capital. I need to have access to money. I need to find a business partner. Most of these questions, I did have them in my head all the time. But I would say, if you think actually you are someone who is driven, who likes to sort of take risks in life and all of that, without necessarily having access to money and all of that, and if you are someone who has ideas and you want those ideas to sort of materialize and happen, probably you are someone who should consider doing, starting your business right now, whatever you're doing, even if you are still studying at university. The good news is, that's from my recent experience, is in the UK, actually, if you say to anyone, or if you just Google and go to the government website, which is a great website for every single thing you want to know about living and doing in the UK, you would find huge amount of support. You would find support and free templates online to structure your business plan. You would find available funds by the government on a very low interest rate to give you sort of loans and give you funding if you needed that to sort of kick off your business. And obviously follow everything that is in here. Do not go to other places or other banks or other loan providers, because the people that are mentioned or backed up by the government are the best kind of people who will offer you the loans. They give you low interest rate. They do not give you the money unless they check your financial situation. So they need to make sure that you're not someone who has got huge debt, who got 10 credit cards and you are not really using them wisely. They need to review your business plan to make sure that your business idea is viable. So they put all those obstacles ahead of you intentionally, because if you don't really meet the criteria, they will not give you the money, because giving you the money without having a good business idea or a business plan would be dangerous for you. So that is something that could be a journey or an opportunity for most of you to consider now, to say, I will just go to the gov.uk website, I will read through that, I've got an idea, I will write a business plan, I will get it reviewed by someone, and I will look into the application form loan provider that has been such, and I will just go through the application form. You may not necessarily submit it, but being in a position where you are aware of all the things that are needed for you to set up a business would enlighten you. You may at some point say, I will not go any further, I will stop it here. But doing that exercise over 1 week has given me great ideas. Therefore, I will pause it until I do have 2 or 3 years of experience, and then I will do that later. But the great thing here is you have established something, you have set a career goal or a personal goal, and then as you start working in any organization, you will be working very hard to answer many questions that were actually requested here. And you start to actually look at your organization from a different perspective. To imagine that if this organization, if I do set up a business in 3-5 years, do I need my organization to be run in a similar way to the one I'm working for? What are the things that are working well here? What are the things that are not working well? And you may end up really delaying the idea of setting up your business because you love your organization, and you may end up becoming a partner in the organization, setting up all these goals.